In the summer of 1969, the small town of Willow Creek was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and crime was almost unheard of. Families left their doors unlocked, children played outside until dark, and neighbors trusted one another. That sense of security shattered on a warm July evening when 17-year-old Emily Carter failed to return home from the annual community fair. Emily was known for her bright smile and responsible nature, making her sudden disappearance even more alarming. She had left the fair just before sunset, riding her bicycle down a familiar path that cut through a wooded area toward her house. When she never arrived, her parents grew frantic and alerted the authorities. The search began immediately. Dozens of townspeople joined the police, combing through the woods, ditches, and back roads with flashlights and dogs. They found her bicycle lying on its side near the road, its chain broken and the handlebars scratched, as if it had been thrown. But Emily herself was gone. There were no footprints leading away, no clear signs of a struggle, only a chilling silence. As days turned into weeks, whispers spread across the town. Some speculated she had run away with a secret boyfriend, while others feared she had been taken by someone passing through. Despite endless searches and countless interviews, the trail went cold almost instantly. For a community unaccustomed to tragedy, the mystery of Emily's disappearance became an open wound, one that would remain unhealed for decades. For over 2 decades, Emily Carter's case remained little more than a fading memory, tucked away in the archives of the Willow Creek Police Department. Old filing cabinets were filled with boxes of yellowed reports, blurred photographs, and items collected from the search. Most of it seemed ordinary at first glance, missing posters, witness statements, and notes scribbled in pencil. Yet buried among the overlooked evidence was a small cardboard box containing a torn piece of fabric from the dress Emily had worn the night she vanished. At the time, it had been logged but never examined beyond a visual inspection. For investigators in 1969, it was just another fragment without a clear lead. In 1990, a young officer assigned to review cold cases stumbled upon the forgotten box while organizing storage. The officer noticed that the fragment, though faded, was carefully sealed in an envelope. Curious, he compared it with the photographs from that night and realized it had been discovered not near Emily's bicycle, as many believed, but much closer to the fairgrounds. That small detail raised questions about whether Emily had actually left the fair alone or if something had happened before she even began her journey home. At the time, DNA testing was in its infancy, and the department lacked the resources to pursue advanced analysis. Still, the discovery of the fabric reignited quiet discussions among investigators. They began to wonder what secrets might be hidden in the fibers of that simple, torn dress. It was a clue waiting for technology to catch up. By 2021, technology had advanced far beyond what investigators in 1969 could have imagined. Cold cases across the country were being reopened, and long-forgotten evidence was solving crimes once thought impossible to crack. Emily Carter's case was among them. The torn fabric from her dress, preserved for decades, was finally sent to a modern forensic lab. What had once been just a scrap of cloth now held the potential to reveal the truth. Using advanced DNA extraction techniques, scientists carefully analyzed microscopic traces embedded in the fibers. To the astonishment of investigators, the results pointed to a clear male profile. When entered into the national database, it returned a match, Richard Hale. Richard was not a stranger to Willow Creek. In fact, Old Town records revealed he had lived only a few blocks from the fairgrounds in the late 1960s. He worked odd jobs, including helping with the summer fair, where he was responsible for setting up rides and equipment. Further digging revealed something more troubling. Richard had once been a suspect in another young woman's disappearance in a nearby county. He had been questioned but never charged, largely due to lack of evidence. Shortly after Emily vanished, Richard abruptly left Willow Creek, changed his name, and moved across state lines, starting a new life. The DNA match breathed new life into Emily's case, turning a decades-old mystery into a fresh investigation. For the first time in 54 years, police had a solid lead, one that pointed directly to the man who had lived in plain sight. As investigators dug deeper into Richard Hale's past, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. Records showed that during the summer of 1969, he had been present at nearly every major event in Willow Creek, often volunteering for tasks that gave him access to young people. Witness accounts from the time, once dismissed as vague, took on new weight. Several residents had described a tall, quiet man loitering near the path that Emily was expected to take home, yet no one had ever connected those details to Richard. It became clear that the original investigation had overlooked critical leads, blinded by the assumption that Emily had either run away or been taken by an outsider. Modern technology provided tools the original detectives never had. Using ground-penetrating radar, investigators searched the yard of Richard's former property, now owned by another family. Beneath a patch of soil that looked unusually disturbed, the radar revealed anomalies consistent with human remains. When the ground was carefully excavated, bones emerged from the date, wrapped in fragments of deteriorated fabric. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Dental records confirmed the remains belonged to Emily Carter, ending more than half a century of unanswered questions. Alongside the remains, investigators uncovered personal belongings, a bracelet Emily was known to wear, and a rusted hair clip still tangled in strands of hair. These haunting artifacts told a story of a life cut short. What had once been speculation was now undeniable fact. Emily had never left Willow Creek. She had been silenced and buried in plain sight. In 2023, after decades of hiding under a new identity, Richard Hale was finally arrested at the age of 79. He was frail and moved slowly, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. The DNA results from Emily's dress, the discovery of her remains, and the resurfaced witness accounts left no room for denial. Taken into custody from a small rural home where he had lived quietly for years, Richard's double life collapsed in an instant. He had evaded justice for over half a century, but time had finally caught up with him. During questioning, Richard admitted to luring Emily away from the fairgrounds under the pretense of needing help with equipment. What followed was a confession that confirmed the worst fears of investigators and the community alike. His words painted a grim picture of manipulation and violence, ending with Emily's life stolen before it had truly begun. The revelation devastated those who had carried hope for so long, yet it also brought long-awaited closure. When news of the arrest broke, Willow Creek gathered in remembrance. Vigils were held in Emily's honor, and the town square displayed her photograph surrounded by flowers and candles. Though justice had been delayed, her story was no longer just a haunting mystery. It was a truth finally brought to light. Richard Hale faced trial, ensuring his crimes were formally acknowledged. The case stood as a reminder that even after 54 years, hidden secrets could still surface, and justice, though slow, could not be escaped forever.